Hey guys, I wanted to go over the tier list I made yesterday. So let's start from the bottom. When I said that these champions are extremely niche and generally bad, well, basically, there are sometimes some Twitch jungle players who just level to gank bottom or mid, mostly mid. Maybe they get a kill, maybe they don't. There are some people who cheese some blitz jungle, maybe they just want to play Jax since the enemy team is full AD and they kind of want to try this champion. They don't usually do a lot. They're usually bad. Malzahar is basically one of those champions that's good in jungle only if you can get away without being invaded, with scaling some levels, and it doesn't really provide that much, so this is just a bad tier. C tier is basically the same, but the difference is these champions have stronger clear and they're a bit stronger at ganks. Nautilus comes to mind, maybe Kiana sometimes. Again, they're not really that good, but they are still a bit better than these here. B tier is where we have those junglers that are usually standard junglers, but they're just outdated. They are pretty bad at what they do, but they can still have some unique abilities to the game. For instance, Olaf, we know it's still good in tanks with CC when you want a bruiser that needs to sustain a bit. Ramus is still okay in full AD. Morgana, it's kind of okay in champions like say Yuani or whatever, even in Turel. Nasus jungle is one of those champions that farms a lot and out of nowhere he's really strong, and then you're wondering what the hell do you do against Wither. Mundo is one of those champions that actually can beat Udyr, one of the few champions in the game that has a good matchup against Udyr. So nothing to worry here, and we go to A tier. I think someone asked, but I'm not sure where the comment is. I think someone asked why did I put in the same tier as Elise or Sin or Kha'Zix. Why did I put Fiddlesticks? This is one of those questions that I think it wouldn't have been put if you had noticed that I put these champions from left to right in terms of their viability. I mean, I didn't want to rate them necessarily one better than the other, but I kind of did. So I'd say Xin Zhao at this moment is the best A tier jungler. Kha'Zix probably is the second best A tier jungler, and so on. So when I put Fiddlesticks here, I put him high A tier, and in the same tier I put Volibear around with Gragas. I think they're some of the worst because they require way too much setup. They don't really carry on their own because they are so kited. They have too much counterplay and they're really situational. Maybe I could have put Talia a bit higher, I'm not so sure, but generally this is from best to worst. So yeah, that's why Fiddlesticks is here. And why do I rate Fiddlesticks so low? Because Fiddlesticks is one of those champions who has the most predictable pathing, the most predictable ganking, the most predictable mid-game team fighting, and doesn't really have much to say if he gets invaded. So often I just see Fiddlesticks in enemy team. Oh, I guess I'll kill him at blue. Okay, I didn't kill him at blue, but I at least took him out of the jungle. I took his camps, and now he's going red. So I just go red and kill him there, or he gives me another camp. It's just a champion with a lot of counterplay, and again, that's something that Elise, for instance, has a lot more. How do I put it? She has more tools to deal with invades. She has more tools to deal with skirmishes. Whereas with Fiddlesticks, if he faces a champion with CC, he cannot drain. He cannot use his W. So he just loses because he has no tanky stats. He has no way to skirmish unless he stuns himself and presses W. Or just runs away. And if he runs away, well, how does he fight for his camp? Well, he doesn't. That's the point. That's why I put Fiddlesticks solo, I think. I think he's one of the most overrated junglers in the game. Sure, we all know about his 3-minute whatever full clear that's only done in practice tool, and in game it never happens. Sure, there are situations where you can kind of pull him off, but again, considering there's Locket in the game, Mercs nullifies his entire hit, cleanse, every AD carry plays with cleanse nowadays, even mages play with cleanse. I just think Fiddlesticks is a champion that is way too easy to play against him. And now on to the most controversial ones. Do we talk about Evelyn now or do we talk about her later? But before that, actually, let's just... What the fuck are we even talking about? I'm sorry. Are we actually trying to lie to ourselves that Evelyn is not an S tier blind pickable champion? Are you actually telling me that Evelyn is not one of the best champions in the game? Are you actually telling me Evelyn is not one of the best jungle champions in the game? Yeah, you can get the same argument. You can give the same argument as with Fiddlesticks. Oh, she's invadable. Oh, she has some bad matchups against Rengar. Oh, maybe sometimes she falls behind. Bro, what the hell? Even if she falls behind, even if she's 0-5, even if you hate your life because you're 0-3 and your mid laner picked another mage and now you're heavy on AP and you have to build voice staff second. Bro, Evelyn is one of those champions when you actually max out Hari. I think Hari is the magic pen ability. With void stuff, you just don't care about MR. What the hell? You can just ignore an entire bruiser itemization just by building void stuff and leveling up your abilities. And again, it's about what this champion brings to the game. This champion brings a unique factor that punishes split push. This champion can punish split push maybe the same way as Rengar, sometimes like no other, because sometimes Rengar is predictable when it comes to split push, since he is looking for squishy targets. But Evelyn can actually duel even Fiora if she plays well. What are you even saying, bros? She's just too strong of a champion in terms of stats. She has one of the best items in... Well, I mean, not one of the best items. One of the most expensive items in the game as her passive, which is so strong sometimes. Warmog, not being forced to back away whenever you're low on skirmish, getting an extra camp or two, just like that, getting levels. She's just a unique champion. I don't know. I actually never thought this would be a controversial opinion. I thought was, oh, okay, Evelyn. Sure, yeah, I can see it. Maybe I expected to get much more hate for not putting Jarvan higher, for instance. Or maybe a controversial opinion was for putting Shaco on S. But Evelyn, I don't know. I think besides the Evelyn players, everyone agrees this champion is broken. I don't know what to say. There's a reason this champion does so many things even from behind. There's a reason people cannot play the game and tilt against playing against Evelyn. And sure, there are arguments. There are arguments that people give, and I think this is the main issue. There are arguments that people give. Oh, there are control wards in the game. Oh, there's a Locket in the game. Oh, there are champions that beat her. Bro, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? You think the same arguments don't apply for every single champion? Of course there's counterplay. There's counterplay for every single champion. Guess what? Karthus is denied by Soraka with Locket. Guess what? Ivan is denied by not being able to deal enough damage to beat champions like Yone or Nasus. Guess what? Rengar is denied by Ninja Tabi early game and Exhaust. If he cannot snowball, he falls behind in levels. Guess what? Udyr is okay, Udyr maybe isn't denied by anything. We move forward. Lee Sin is denied by the fact that if he loses skirmishes, he cannot queue second again. He just becomes a shield bot. He even though he's one of the most inflated champions in terms of stats in the game, like every single champion is denied by something. And yes, you feel bad when your champion doesn't do anything since it's denied. But bro, that's just jungle role. That's the issue, because jungle is not a role with autonomy. Your issue isn't with Evelyn as a champion. Your issue is that there's counterplay to jungle role, and the best way to describe jungle role, why you feel that Evelyn is bad, and why you feel sometimes your champion is bad, it's simply because you're like a gun. Compare yourself to a weapon. A weapon is dangerous, but it's only dangerous when wielded by someone. If you just don't have someone to wield you, you're just laying there. You don't do anything. You're not gonna do anything on your own. So the actual issue is you don't have power to act on your own. You need teammates. You need someone to work with. You need to have someone to enable you. You need someone to play with. And indeed, jungle role is the most frustrating, because at any point you can be sabotaged from champ select, since let's say you pick Eve and your team goes full AP, from level 1 where someone doesn't cover your entrances and you get invaded and then you cannot play the game, from level 2 when your mid lane loses prio and then you find yourself at Raptors with a Tristana with a bomb on your head with Ignite and you die, or from level 3 when you're trying to do a gank, an early gank around bot for some reason, and your bot lane dies 2v2 and then you cannot gank again, and now you destabilize your pathing. From level 4 when you full cleared and then you try to get scuttle and you notice you don't have any prio and you have to give double scuttle. Like, there are so many points in the game where jungle role is everyone's bitch. That's your issue. That's why your champion feels bad. That's why every champion feels bad. But that's not an issue with the champion design or their strength. That's an issue with jungle role. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Evelyn. She's just unique. She's strong, but she cannot beat the way jungle role is designed. Maybe if you played the same version of this champion in season 6, you'd probably enjoy the game a lot more. Just the way jungle was designed back then. So I still think this champion is blind pickable. I still think you can get away with it even if you're 0-5, because you can always catch people splitting. You can always try and do something and get pressure. And again, someone said Evelyn feels bad because you can always run into wards. Now, a lot of people don't understand that if you force the enemy team to buy wards for your champion exclusively, then you destabilize their items. They don't get mythics the same way your team does. They don't get they don't get to play the game the same way you do. So that means you can always force them to objectives. You can find your support with a completed item, and the enemy support is sitting on components for a locket, let's say, or Evan Shroud. It's still something you can take into account. Buying control rewards is not cheap and usually just destabilizes the goal flow. So I don't think that's an argument. So let's go with this. ES tier blind pick Lumufao maybe in gold Dilo. Again, what does Mastery bring to the table? It brings unique skirmish power with every single champion, similar to Rengar. Again, people don't understand that it's almost impossible to itemize against him. Sure, there's Stormail and Ninja Tabi, or Plated Steel Caps. That's it. But in League of Legends, you have to buy more than one item. You need to buy more. And if he gets fed, usually he wins fights against almost every single champion. He has a pretty fast clear. He has a really strong dual potential, has reset potential. Of course, Mastery has the issue of needing a setup champion and a protect champion. That's why Tariq was so good with him, or Lulu was so good with him when he was a terror for solo queue, because Lulu could also protect him, but she could also provide stuff with slow. That's I think Master is mostly his issue. Has counterplay with Q against most abilities. For instance, think about it. You can counterplay Jarvan entirely, one of the most meta champions. By queuing his EQ, you deny two of his abilities. Who else? You can deny Echo his burst. You can deny Maokai his burst. You can get close to Ivan and deny him. There are so many positive aspects to it. So again, this is a solo queue tier list. It's not competitive, because if we're talking about competitive, we'll definitely talk in different terms. We're not talking about organized teams that always play as a unit. We're talking about the game where you have to take into account that not only the enemy jungle will counter jungle you, that you have to back away 40 seconds before you're red, so that your AD carry that has hinted all game doesn't go rage, steal your Gromp or your red buff. That's the game we're talking about. I mean, maybe people don't take this into account. And speaking about this, I think this is why I also put Nocturne in S tier. And I've discovered, I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one who has figured this out, that actually Inspiration is the best second rune on him nowadays. Why do I say this? I think jungle was nerfed so hard and people just were silent and didn't notice it and just accepted the way it was. The hardest nerf jungle took was when Lost Chapter was buffed to 1.1k gold. And I don't know, maybe people haven't figured this out. But when mages were buffed to the level they are now, they don't lose as much when it comes to pushing waves. They are much healthier in trades and they accelerate the game. The moment a mage pushes his wave and has prio, it just changes the way you play. It just changes the way you make your pathing. So when mages got that insane buff, I think junglers are indirectly forced right now to adapt to this by taking inspiration almost every single time. So when you don't take inspiration on junglers, you just fall behind one level further against mages. You fall behind one level further behind mages, you never get to kill them. So basically mages are just invulnerable to your ganks unless they're really terrible. This is one of the biggest nerfs jungle has took over the years, where Riot said, nah, you don't get to have secondary runes. Nah, you just play with smite reduction. That's it. And people talk about creativity in items. What about runes? You're just forced to have a faster smite. And for the longest time, I applied the older mindset, where you have to take domination, where you have to adjust, where you have to adjust to ult hunter. But I discovered it's just better to have your ultimate faster than having more ults. Because if you have your ultimate faster, you get higher levels. You fall less behind in comparison to top laners and mid laners. And if you manage to somehow kill them, the next time you'll have your ultimate, you'll just kill them again. Whereas if you have to play with domination, usually you don't gank top laners, so that's one ultimate hunter stack you're not gonna get. Usually you're forced to play around bot lane, only around bot lane, and it just denies kill power on mid lane. Even if you have your ultimate up, you will still not be able to do something with it. So I think the reason why people don't think Nocturne is an S-blind pickable champion is because they haven't seen him with higher levels. And I'm telling you, with higher levels, you get to have a skirmisher that, just like Yi, with an ability, he can block most of abilities from other junglers, from other champions. It allows him to skirmish almost everyone. I say almost everyone because obviously Nocturne has his weaknesses, like I said, with all the other champions. That's why I'd say Nocturne is an S tier champion, because he's just that strong with levels. I've been having a lot of success with him. I've been playing him a lot of stream or whatever, and I'd be honestly a hypocrite if I didn't include him here. He's just a very consistent champion overall. Just really, really good. And you can always get some ability haste from itemization by just going Black Cleaver. I wouldn't say Sojin, since it's a bit expensive, and usually you always end up having to shred and provide assistance for your team anyway. But overall, I'd say Nocturne is just really strong and underrated. What else? What do we have here? Let's talk about Jarvan a bit. I honestly want him to put him in A, and he'll definitely be in A after the nerf on his passive. But as of now, he's just, I'd say he's situational, because there's just too much counterplay to it. And I know, Jarvan just came back into the meta, and everyone thinks it's strong. Everyone thinks he's the best champion. Sojin, CDR, Butsaguri, rank 1, Korea, rank 1, West rank 1 universe. I know. But this champion has a lot of counterplay. And as per usual, you'll find that in a few days or a few weeks, if given enough time, people will discover again, oh, he's weak against Belvet. Oh, he's weak against moving slightly to the left or to the right. Oh, he's weak against, I don't know, almost everything. Since he gets stat checked by every champion. Oh, he's weak against, I don't know, invade, since he's always half HP, especially his half HP when clearing the first time. He's just a champion with a lot of counterplay. And honestly, if I wasn't so intimate with the champion, having played him since he was released 14 years ago, I would have made the same mistake of putting him the same tier as Evelyn and putting him above. But as of now, he's just strong. Shaco, why is Shaco here? Well, I think Shaco, I might have put him a bit higher. I think Shaco has a few tools that only work in solo queue and only work sometimes. And when they work, they're just way too annoying to deal with. First of all, he's a champion that has two build paths. He's going AP or AD. Obviously, the AD Shaco version is the stronger one. Obviously, when you go AP, you cannot carry 1v9, since you need to stack your boxes in such manner that you deal damage, and it's not really realistic. But he's also one of the few champions who can gank faster than anyone with level 3. He's one of the few champions that has full clear potential and ganking every single lane at every single time. Obviously, he's weak to level 1 invades if you run over his boxes, but I think this champion has way too much counterplay. Not much. He has way too much, how do I put it? He has way too many options. For what he can do. He can go AP, he can go AD, he can gank, he can full clear, he can even go tank. I've seen some builds with Sterak, Titanic Hydra, Sunfire. Yeah, I've seen this champion do so many things, and it's so annoying to deal with. Especially if you don't have a good team to handle it. So that's it. Let's see if there's anything else. I mean, Leo is just making false statements. He's just an OTP Kain. He thinks this champion is bad. Yeah, okay, man, sure. Okay, sure. When people say things like this, when people talk about Udyr being bad, yeah, bro, what does your champion lose against? Oh, it loses against Yone? Ah, crazy. Tell me what champion doesn't lose against Yone in this entire game. Maybe the issue isn't with the jungle champion itself, maybe the issue is with Yone. I don't know. I think mostly everyone can agree Udyr is strong. Maybe I should have put him as the best champion in the game, but that would have triggered a lot of people. As of now, I think Evelyn is the best jungle champion in the game. She's just the best. I don't know. I think out of every single champion I play against, and I've seen mostly people playing, I've seen Malis play Evelyn. I think she's just the most threatening champion from the jungle role. Tell me what you think. I really had fun recording this. See ya.